Welcome back everyone to our channel where we dive deep into the fascinating world of rare and valuable coins, and today we have something truly extraordinary to talk about that is going to blow your mind, because we are focusing on the incredible 1995 D. Lincoln 1-cent coin that has stunned collectors, historians, and enthusiasts alike with an unbelievable estimated value of $77 million due to its rare errors, striking mistakes, and unique possibilities that make it one of the most valuable and intriguing coins in American history. So sit tight as we unfold this astonishing story in detail and take you on a journey that will explore how a small copper coin from Denver Mint in 1995 could become the stuff of legend, and how certain features, combined with human error and minting technology of the era, have elevated its worth beyond comprehension. And as we begin, let's first look at why the Lincoln cent has always captured attention in the numismatic community, because since its introduction in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln, it has carried historical, patriotic, and cultural significance. But when a coin like the 1995 D1 cent comes along with such mind-boggling errors, it instantly transforms from being just a simple coin used in everyday transactions into a priceless artifact of minting history. And one of the main reasons collectors and experts are obsessed with this coin is the wide array of error types it exhibits, ranging from double die obverse varieties to die cracks, off-center strikes, planchette flaws, and misaligned dies, each of which can elevate a coin's desirability. But the 1995 D is believed to combine multiple anomalies in one specimen, making it an absolute treasure unlike anything else. And when we say double die errors, we are talking about coins struck from improperly hubbed dies that impart doubled images on parts of the design. And in the case of the 1995 D cent, the doubling can be seen most dramatically in the inscriptions such as Liberty and the date 1995 itself, with collectors reporting strong, clear separation between the letters and digits, making it one of the most prominent and striking varieties in circulation. And if you imagine the rarity of finding a coin like that, then combine it with other anomalies such as die breaks near Lincoln's portrait or cracks extending through the fields, you can start to understand why its value skyrockets into the tens of millions. Because each small mistake adds to its uniqueness. And now think about off-center strikes where the design is misaligned on the blank planchette, sometimes shifting significantly so that parts of the lettering or Lincoln's bust are missing. And a 1995 D cent showing a 10% to 20% off-center strike combined with visible doubling would be nearly unheard of. And when you throw in the possibility of a misaligned die clash, where parts of the reverse design faintly appear on the obverse because the dies struck each other without a planchette in between, you have a once-in-a-lifetime combination that no collector could resist. And that is why experts talk about the mythical $77 million value, because rarity is not just about how many coins were struck, but about how many show these extreme anomalies in such a dramatic way. And when we consider the Denver Mint in 1995, it was producing billions of coins at high speed with heavy machinery, so the chances of mechanical error, die wear, or human oversight were very real. And that environment could produce coins like this, though almost all would be caught in quality control. Yet sometimes one or two pieces slipped out and found their way into circulation where an unsuspecting person might have spent it on candy or gum, not realizing it was worth more than a mansion. And those stories always capture the imagination because they show how a tiny penny could hold generational wealth. And beyond doubling and off-center strikes, another possible factor in the 1995 D cent's staggering value could be its planchette composition. Because while standard Lincoln cents after 1982 were struck on copper-plated zinc planchets weighing 2.5 grams, there have been rare instances where experimental planchets or leftover copper alloy planchets from earlier years accidentally got used. And if a 1995 D cent was struck on a pure copper planchette weighing 3.1 grams, or worse yet on a foreign planchette intended for another denomination or another country, it would multiply the value astronomically. And some rumors even suggest there are examples of 1995 D cents struck on dime planchets or clad planchets, which would make them smaller, thinner, or differently colored than usual. again feeding into the mythos that a single coin could fetch $77 million at a high-profile auction. And collectors also value mint marks when errors are involved. And the D-mint mark for Denver being repunched or misplaced could add another fascinating layer, especially if doubling makes the mint mark appear shadowed or split. And let's not forget about coins struck with improperly polished dies or struck through errors where grease, fabric, or other foreign objects left impressions on the coin, making each piece one of a kind. And when you put all of these possibilities together into a single coin, it becomes almost like a perfect storm of errors and minting history. And that's why experts whisper about the legendary 1995 D-cent being a holy grail of modern coinage. Now if we imagine the auction scene where such a coin might appear, the bidding war would be ferocious, with millionaires and institutions fighting tooth and nail to secure it. Because owning a piece like this is not just about its monetary worth, it's about owning a part of American history, a mistake that tells the story of how technology and human craftsmanship sometimes clash to produce something magical. And one could argue that the value is driven not only by rarity but also by narrative, because collectors crave stories they can pass on, like how a coin born in an ordinary Denver mint press run ended up rewriting the rules of numismatics. And beyond technical errors, even condition matters enormously, because a coin in mint state condition graded by PCGS or NGC as MS67 or higher would drastically outpace the value of a circulated piece. And if that era-laden 1995 D-cent happened to survive without wear, with original red luster and sharp details despite its mistakes, then its $77 million value becomes easier to grasp, because condition combined with error rarity makes for exponential growth in price. And people often underestimate how collectors think, but in truth they are driven by both passion and competition. And when a coin like this appears, it becomes almost mythical, with stories spreading across forums, conventions, and magazines, each retelling adding to its aura. And that's why even people who don't usually collect pennies are fascinated, because it transforms a humble cent into a headline-grabbing phenomenon. And as we keep unraveling the story of the 1995 D-cent, it's worth imagining how many such coins might still be out there, tucked away in jars, piggy banks, or old dresser drawers, waiting for someone to stumble upon them. And that's the exciting part, because it means the dream of becoming wealthy overnight could still be alive for everyday people. And that possibility adds value in itself, because it drives demand, it sparks searches, and it keeps the legend growing. And to put things into perspective, think of how rare coins like the 1943 bronze cent or the 1955 double die cent have reached hundreds of thousands or even millions in value. Yet the 1995 D-era cent is considered in a whole different league, being discussed at $77 million, which is almost unthinkable for a penny. Yet the numismatic world thrives on surprises, and sometimes values reach levels that no one would have predicted, driven by a mix of scarcity, condition, demand, and hype. And that's exactly the case here, where each factor aligns perfectly. And as we reflect on the sheer magnitude of this coin's journey from minting press to legendary status, we realize that coins like these are not just collectibles but time capsules, symbols of imperfection turned perfection, mistakes that became masterpieces. And that's the kind of story people love to hear, because it reminds us that even something as small and ordinary as a penny can hold secrets and riches beyond imagination. And in conclusion, as we wrap up this exploration of the 1995 D1 cent valued at a staggering $77 million, we hope you've enjoyed diving into the intricate details of its errors, mistakes, and fascinating possibilities. And we encourage you to always keep an eye on your pocket change, because you never know when you might be holding a life-changing piece of history in your hand. And that thrill of discovery is what makes the world of rare coins endlessly exciting and worth exploring. Next, 2001 cent USA coin, where small details, tiny mistakes, and minting anomalies can transform the most ordinary looking coins into treasures worth fortunes. and today we are going to dive into one of the most unbelievable stories of modern coinage, a story that centers on the year 2000 Lincoln 1-cent coin, a coin most people would dismiss as pocket change or something they might overlook in a handful of pennies, yet because of its unique set of errors, striking mistakes, and unusual minting characteristics, some specimens of this very coin have been valued at an astonishing $43 million, and the more you explore the details behind how and why this little copper-plated zinc cent has become one of the most discussed treasures among collectors, historians, and numismatic enthusiasts, the more you realize that the 2001 cent is more than just a coin. It is a fascinating piece of minting history that tells us about human error, mechanical mishaps, and the unpredictable quirks of the minting process that can sometimes create priceless works of art by accident. So let's dig deep into the possibilities, the stories, and the reasons why this particular coin has achieved such mythical status. Because the journey from a humble 1-cent denomination to a $43 million valuation is not just about rarity, it's about the magic that happens when mistakes transform something common into something extraordinary. And to begin, we have to remember that the year 2000 was a symbolic turning point. It marked the beginning of a new millennium, a moment in history filled with significance, hope, and symbolic value, and many collectors already attach emotional meaning to items from that year, which further enhances the appeal of any unique coin tied to that date. And the Lincoln cent, which had been in continuous production since 1909, remained one of the most collected coins in America. But when we talk about the 2001 cent that reached the stratospheric price of $43 million, we are focusing on an ultra rare example that combines multiple anomalies in one specimen, anomalies so dramatic and unmistakable that they create a perfect storm of value. And the first type of error that experts often cite in relation to this legendary coin is the double die obverse error, a classic mistake in the minting process where the die used to strike the coin is improperly hubbed, resulting in doubled images on the coin. And in this case, collectors have reported spectacular doubling on the inscriptions like Liberty and In God We Trust, as well as on the date 2000 itself, making the coin appear almost as though it has a shadowed echo around its letters and numbers. And when such doubling is bold, sharp, and clearly visible without magnification, it becomes a collector's dream. But that is only the beginning, because the coin in question is believed to also show dramatic misalignments, such as an off-center strike where the design is not properly centered on the blank planchette, resulting in portions of Lincoln's bust being cut off or the rim being thicker on one side and thinner on the other. And when you combine a dramatic double die with an off-center strike, you already have a coin of immense rarity. But imagine adding to that the possibility of a planchette error, such as the coin being struck on the wrong type of metal blank, and that is where the $43 million story comes alive, because there have been rumors and reports of 2000 Lincoln cents being struck on experimental planches, possibly intended for other denominations or even foreign coins, which would result in coins that are lighter, heavier, or different in color compared to normal cents. And if the coin was struck on a leftover copper planchette from before 1982 instead of the usual copper-plated zinc, that alone would make it astronomically valuable, because after 1982 pennies were 97.5% zinc with only a thin layer of copper. But some rare mistakes have shown up years later where old copper blanks accidentally slipped into the production process. And when you add that to a year like 2000 and combine it with other dramatic errors, you suddenly have a unique masterpiece. And collectors are willing to pay unbelievable sums for that uniqueness. And let's not forget that the Denver and Philadelphia mints at the time were producing billions of coins each year, operating under tremendous pressure and speed, which meant that dies wore out quickly, machinery malfunctioned, and the opportunity for errors was always lurking. And while most errors were caught and destroyed, a few slipped into circulation, becoming legends when discovered. And the 2001 cent that reached $43 million is believed to be one of those extraordinary survivors, showing not just one but multiple layers of mistakes, such as die cracks where lines appear on Lincoln's portrait or fields due to a breaking die, or struck through errors where grease, fabric, or other materials obstructed part of the design during striking, leaving behind ghostly impressions and missing details. And in the most famous reported example of the 2001 cent, the coin allegedly shows doubling, off-center strike, a struck-through error, and possibly a wrong planchet altogether, which would make it essentially a one-of-a-kind anomaly. And in the world of collecting, uniqueness equals value, because while condition and rarity matter, the one thing collectors crave above all is something no one else has, and if a coin embodies that uniqueness, then its value becomes whatever someone is willing to pay, which is how we reach the unimaginable figure of $43 million. And beyond technical errors, there is also the condition to consider, because if such a coin is preserved in mint state or near perfect condition with full red luster and sharp details, then the price multiplies even further, as grading companies like PCGS and NGC would award it a top-tier grade, making it not just rare but pristine, and that combination is irresistible to elite collectors who see coins like these not just as hobbies but as investments, trophies, and cultural artifacts. And one must also consider the narrative factor, because the story of a coin always plays into its value. And when you have a coin tied to the year 2000, the dawn of the millennium, with dramatic minting errors, extreme rarity, and a condition preserved as if fate itself wanted it to survive, you create a myth, and myths fuel desire, driving collectors to bid astronomical amounts, turning an ordinary penny into an item worth more than luxury homes, cars, or even paintings. And speaking of auctions, imagine the scene at a major auction house when such a coin appears. Bidders from around the world, millionaires, and institutions, fighting to claim ownership, each bid escalating the price higher and higher until the hammer drops at $43 million, and the crowd gasps at the idea that a simple cent could achieve such a record. And yet that is exactly the kind of drama that makes numismatics so fascinating, because it shows that value is not just about face value or intrinsic metal content, but about rarity, story, and human emotion. And as we continue exploring the possibilities of the 2001 cent, we also realize that its existence keeps the dream alive for ordinary people, because it suggests that life-changing treasures could still be sitting in jars of change, in forgotten piggy banks, or in the corners of dusty drawers, waiting for someone to notice them. And that hope inspires thousands of collectors, treasure hunters, and curious individuals to search through their change, to learn about errors, and to keep the passion of coin collecting alive. And if we compare the 2001 cent to other famous era coins like the 1943 bronze cent, the 1955 double die cent, or the 1999 wide AM cent, we see that while those coins have achieved immense value, none combine the unique factors of the 2000 specimen that skyrocketed to $43 million, because this coin is not just about one era, it's about the combination of multiple dramatic eras fused into one piece, a perfect storm of mistakes that nature and chance produced only once. And the fact that it has been preserved and recognized elevates it to legendary status, and that is why people cannot stop talking about it, because it represents the pinnacle of what numismatic collecting is all about: the thrill of the hunt, the fascination with history, and the sheer unpredictability of value. And when we think about what this coin means, it goes beyond money. It's a symbol of how small details matter, how imperfection can create perfection, and how something dismissed as worthless by many can become priceless to others. And that is a lesson that resonates far beyond coins. It reflects life itself, where mistakes sometimes lead to the greatest outcomes. And as we wrap up this incredible journey into the 2001 cent coin worth $43 million, last 2013 1 cent USA coin, where we take you on a deep journey into the fascinating and often unbelievable world of rare coins, stories that capture the imagination of collectors and ordinary people alike. Because who would think that something as small and as ordinary as a penny could change someone's life forever? And today's story is going to absolutely blow your mind, because we are diving into the mysterious, legendary, and highly valuable 2013 1-cent coin that has gained attention and excitement across the coin collecting world due to its extraordinary errors, striking mistakes, and unusual characteristics that have elevated its value to an unbelievable $65 million. And while most people pass over pennies without even glancing at them, those who know about error coins and numismatics understand that hidden in plain sight could be treasures worth more than luxury houses, exotic cars, and even priceless works of art. And the 2013 1-cent is one of those rare treasures that prove how mistakes can sometimes be worth more than perfection. So sit back and get ready for a story packed with history, detail, and possibilities that explain how this small copper-plated zinc coin turned into a masterpiece worth a fortune. And to begin, we must understand that the Lincoln cent has been in circulation since 1909, honoring President Abraham Lincoln, and since then it has undergone various changes in design, composition, and minting process. But since 1982, the cent was primarily struck in copper-plated zinc, weighing 2.5 grams, and that means every coin struck after that point should follow those strict specifications. But as history has shown, mistakes happen, and when they do, collectors take notice, and the 2013 cent is one of the most spectacular examples of what happens when minting errors align in such a way that they create something that is not only rare but almost mythical. And one of the main reasons this coin stands out is because of reports of dramatic double die errors, where the obverse die used to strike Lincoln's portrait and inscriptions was improperly hubbed, creating doubling on areas like the motto, "In God We Trust," the word liberty, and even the date 2013 itself. And in the clearest examples, this doubling is bold, dramatic, and easily seen without magnification, which is the hallmark of a high-value error coin. But that is only the beginning, because what makes the 2013 cent so valuable is the fact that some specimens also exhibit off-center strikes, where the design is shifted dramatically to one side of the coin, leaving parts of the design cut off and creating a striking visual that is instantly recognizable as unusual. And when such an off-center strike is combined with a double die obverse, the rarity multiplies significantly. And now imagine a coin that not only has those features but was also struck on the wrong type of planchette, perhaps a leftover blank from an earlier era, or even on a foreign planchette intended for another country's coinage. And that possibility has been suggested by experts who claim to have examined a 2013 cent that weighed closer to 3.1 grams, which would indicate it was accidentally struck on a copper planchette instead of the intended copper-plated zinc. And if that is true, then what you have is a modern rarity that defies the normal rules of minting, and collectors would bid astronomical amounts to secure it. And if you think that's all, consider the possibility of die cracks, cuts, and clash marks appearing on the coin as well, because in a minting environment where billions of coins are being struck each year, the dies wear out, break, and malfunction. And when that happens, coins can show raised lines, missing parts of the design, or ghost-like impressions of the reverse design on the obverse. And when these features appear on a coin already known to have other dramatic errors, the desirability skyrockets. And that's why the 2013 cent has achieved legendary status, because it combines multiple rare features into a single specimen, making it a one-of-a-kind treasure that is essentially impossible to replicate. And now let's talk about condition, because condition is everything in numismatics, and while errors themselves add enormous value, the grade of the coin can make a huge difference. And if the 2013 cent was preserved in pristine, mint state condition, with its red luster shining as if it just left the press, then it becomes exponentially more valuable, and grading services like PCGS or NGC would certify it as MS67 or even MS68, which would place it among the highest graded examples known. And in the coin market, rarity plus condition equals astronomical prices, which is why this coin has been valued as high as $65 million. And when you imagine it going up for auction at a major event, you can picture wealthy collectors and institutions battling for ownership, each raising the bid higher and higher. driven not just by the desire to own a rare era coin but by the symbolism of owning a piece of history, because the 2013 cent is not just a coin, it's a story, a testament to how mistakes can create perfection, and how the ordinary can become extraordinary. And the story of this coin also captures people's imagination because it suggests that treasures are still out there, still waiting to be discovered in circulation, because while billions of 2013 cents were minted, only a handful might contain the spectacular combination of errors that make this coin so valuable, and that means that someone out there might still find one in their pocket change, tucked in a jar, or hidden in a drawer, and that dream keeps people searching, because the thrill of finding a fortune in everyday life is irresistible. And if we compare the 2013 cent to other famous era coins like the 1955 double die, the 1943 bronze cent, or the 1999 wide AM cent, we can see that while those coins have reached values in the hundreds of thousands or even millions, the 2013 cent eclipses them all because of its combination of unique factors and its connection to modern minting practices, which makes it even more surprising that such an extreme error could happen in an age of advanced technology and strict quality control. And that paradox, how could such a mistake slip through in modern times, is part of what makes it so captivating, because it reminds us that no matter how advanced our systems become, human error and machine error will always be possible, and sometimes those errors create things of beauty. And beyond the technical details, the 2013 cent also carries symbolic meaning, because it shows how in life sometimes flaws can be more valuable than perfection. And that's a lesson that resonates with people far beyond the world of coins. And when you think about it, the fact that something as small and overlooked as a penny could be worth $65 million challenges us to look closer at the world around us, to pay attention to details, and to appreciate the value in things others might ignore. And that is why stories like this capture headlines and captivate audiences, because they combine history, mystery, and hope into a single narrative. And as we bring this exploration to a close, let this incredible story of the 2013 1-cent coin worth $65 million be a reminder to never underestimate the power of mistakes, to always keep your eyes open, and to remember that sometimes the smallest things hold the biggest treasures. So, check your change, explore your jars of coins, and who knows, you might be the next person to discover a fortune hiding in plain sight.